People over 40 know they need extra income, but most side hustle advice online is fantasy. Thing is, can you work out what it is? And in case you're wondering, do I know what I'm talking about? Well, I can honestly tell you that I've not followed any of the side hustles on this channel or on the internet because I'm cynical. So there's nothing wrong with being cynical, but you've got to be careful that you don't get taken for a ride, haven't you? Now, not everyone wants to dance on TikTok or YouTube, trade crypto, or become an influencer. There's a strange word. Um, if you're already tired, busy, and financially stretched, I mean, who isn't? You need realistic, not exciting hints, don't you? Okay, here's the first point. The wrong picture of a second income. Most people imagine fast money. Um, for instance, I saw the books that I read years ago, early 90s, and I think it might come out in the late 80s, called Making Money Made Simple. And then Noel Whittaker, I think his name was, he wrote a second book, Making More Money Made Simple. And he covered the idea that when you're starting off, the thing to do is it's fantasy. It is a fantasy to think you're going to get rich and make fast money. In fact, if anything promises you fast money, treat it as a scam. There you go. I find that works for me. And anyone that I know is cynical. We know what we want to do. One of the things that actually recommended these books was do like a lady start ironing. So there's something you could do. You're tired, but you could do that and do two or three clients a week, and you got that extra income. Just something to think about. Wash a couple of cars. Okay, now getting back to that second income, people usually think that second income means instant passive income. You could get something, but sometimes it's just because the person thinks you've done a great job or they want to help you out. So think about that, because usually that does not happen. At the start, it's slower, smaller, and less glamorous than most people expect. So there we go. There's a couple of hints for you to start to think about. Now, my second point is what a realistic second income actually looks like. And this is what you've got to learn. Start as one small skill or offer. Best to choose something that you're good at. Maybe you're not doing that as a job at the meantime, in the meantime, but it's something you have, like I suggested, ironing from that example before. I started doing some car washes, and that helped get introduced me to some people who did buy some product, but no one took on this. It was a multi-level marketing scheme. A scheme sounds bad, doesn't it? Now it's often done in pockets of time after work and on weekends. Yes, if you come home from work and you've got to cook tea and you've got kids, I can imagine that's hard. But anyway, you probably need to spend some time, possibly a week to 4 weeks, making a bit of a plan on what skills you have, what you can do, and when you can do it. Anyway, that's something about now. It can bring in a few $100s first, not thousands, but that starts, doesn't it? You think about what a few $100s a month would actually do for you. Um, Realistic here is usually built through consistency. Now, there's a word that means doing like what I'm doing, consistently doing video clips and giving people hints, and that's going to work well for you. Okay. Now, you consistently not blah, blah, blah. Oh, if you're doing this, blah, 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 you're going to do really well. Oh, you're doing the wrong thing. I get that I've had that on TikTok and I sometimes get on YouTube. It just simply well, I think it's scam, but I've actually spoken to a couple of ladies, and they're actually on the ball. I think I've not bought from them because they do a similar thing to what I'm doing. Okay, now boring can be good if it's repeatable. So if this second income stream seems boring, but you can continue to do it, well, you look at excitement just watching TV and spending time with family, don't you? But there's an idea for you. Okay, my next point three, is what matters more than excitement? Think about that. Simple. Okay, it's got to be simple. Okay, you want something that's going to be a low cost to start. Now, I'll give you a clue. A friend of mine who, a bit of an entrepreneur he was, he sadly passed away after COVID because of some strange heart disease. But he suggested mowing lawns to me. But I didn't have a very good mower, and he said, "Well, borrow money." So I needed to borrow money, get a new mower, get a trailer. Um, I basically had to. I was This was 30 years ago. It could have been oh, probably up to $1,000. I had to find to get started. Whilst it could work, there's lots of people doing lawn mowing, and I just felt the burden of trying to get lots of uh, to borrow money. I need to earn money to pay off that debt. It's not what I needed to pay off a debt of getting into business. What I needed was a little low startup cost when $1,000 was probably worth at least 1,400 now, if not more. You can imagine what that's like. So anyway, it was still, however, was a simple, boring, but practical skill. Okay. But maybe the thing is I should have taken that plunge anyway, but I didn't. Okay, now it doesn't require a huge audience, like if your income stream. It doesn't rely on constant motivation. I'm doing my best not to motivate you or try to get you to do something with my video. I'm just trying to let you know about some of the lessons I've learned, and hopefully they'll inspire you. Now, it can fit around your normal life, your work, your marriage, your bills, your exhaustion. Okay? I really want to get back to that. Okay, you will be tired, but sometimes just doing something actually can take some of that fatigue away because you're not worrying about your work. Now, people over 40 know they need extra income. Now, I've met people who've got really well paid jobs and they don't, well, they think they don't need it. Let's just say I know of a solicitor, uh, earns really good money. It's their own business, but they've got a certain tax write-off which make it very easy for them to be very profitable, if you know what I mean. And I'm going to leave that alone. So if you're a solicitor or barrister, you would know what I'm talking about. You put money into your trust and there's expenses there. Anyway, I'll leave that alone. Now, most side hustle advice online is fantasy. I think I shared some examples before, but a couple of ladies I talked to are actually quite happy, and they actually, from what I can see, make a good income, but they generally want to help people, but they're consistent. That's what I'm getting at. That's a scammers won't. Okay. Not everyone wants to dance on TikTok. I mentioned this before. Okay. But just give me some little points there. Okay. I want you to work on that. Please excuse my pauses. I'm just checking my notes, and after the last point, he just went on a little bit too long. I do apologize. And I hope I don't sound too boring, but sometimes it's better for me to just talk about this, to share my lessons learned as well as any wisdom that I hope will help you with what you're doing. Now, another main point four, your mindset shift. Oh, look, this is probably my number one thing that's really worked for me. Okay, you need to stop asking, quote, what will make me rich fast, unquote. You avoid those. Because if you follow a particular last point, like consistency and doing things to help others, you'll find you will probably have income coming into you faster than that. But then you might have some dry spots, but that's part of business, which is what we're looking at here. Now, what you need to do is start asking, What can I build steadily that solves the problem, like my problem? Okay. Um, I've got some things, but I'm trying not to share too much what I've been doing because it's still, some of those streams are still need a bit of more time, which is what I'm doing this for. Now, your second income after 40 is often less about brilliance and more about structure because people like, if you can present a business opportunity that works, the structure is very important. It's got to suit you though. Okay. So the goal at first will be is relief and momentum, not overnight freedom. You can see that? I'm going to repeat that. The goal at first with the mindset shift is relief and momentum, not overnight success. So things just won't work. Okay. I mean, see things on TV shows how someone gets an overnight thing and they got like 24,000 views overnight and it went viral. That's TV. I believe that that simply won't work. Well, I think you can get lies can sometimes get a lot of attention. Okay. Okay. Here's something I want you to look at. I want you to know what it's like to be older. Think about this. You're in a position financially squeezed and trying to rebuild. You can be frustrated financially. This is one of the things I have to work on my mindset all the time is not be frustrated. Okay. Mainly because that will stop my creativity. Now, we need to know that learning is very powerful and that freedom doesn't start with a miracle. It can, but then again, if you get a miracle and funds come in, do you know what to do with it? Wisdom is absolutely essential here, but you've got to know how to handle money and recognize opportunity. Okay. It starts with changing the way you think about income and what is actually possible. Like when you hear the expression making money, what does it mean? Think about you probably use it, but think about what a child would think. You actually physically make money. I read about a rich person who actually did that as a 9-year old, and it is illegal, so you can't do that. Okay, so it's okay. So that changing the way you think, probably you need to, that's where you need to start. Okay, we need to mention, one of the things that work, that's what I mentioned in another video, personal development. Renewing the mind matters because people often dismiss opportunities before they even try them. Okay, what do you think about that? I'll repeat that again. Well, you need to, that personal development, renewing the mind, matters because people often dismiss opportunities before they even try them. Okay, what does that sound like? Okay, I want you to think about this. Answer this question. You can type in the comment section because I'd love to hear your opinion and I could actually respond to it. That really would help. What do you think a realistic second income actually looks like for someone over 40? Okay. Going and packing groceries in a supermarket may be good, but that's more of your time. And if you were like me in the 40s, spending time with the kids who are probably teenagers, mine were, um, they need you. The male figure, I'm talking, if, ladies, if you feel that sexist, don't. I think the presence of a man helping his children, spending time with them, a father actually gives quality, builds something in their spirit. So I want you to think about that, plan it, and comments in the comment section. Okay.